Here we go. All right. So remember, everything that Jesus has done in Mark has done for a reason. He's not just casually running into people. He's not running into healing. He's not running into people that have problems. He's not running into the Pharisees or the Sadducees or the scribes in and it's not planned. Everything he's doing is planned. He put them on the boat to go through that storm while he was asleep to teach them something. Verse 1, chapter 5. Then they came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gadarenes. And when he had come out of the boat, immediately, and keep that word in your head, because everything that happens in Mark is immediate. It doesn't take time. Like when he told the storm to stop, it stopped. It didn't happen 10 minutes later or 15 minutes. It wasn't like a gradual thing. It stopped. The minute he said it, it happened because he's God. All right. And when he had come out of the boat, immediately they met him out of the tombs, a man with an unclean spirit. Now, the tombs are the graves. This guy lived where the graves were at. He had an unclean spirit. Verse 3, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one could bind him, not even with chains, because he had often been bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been pulled apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces. Neither could anyone tame him. So this lets you know that people were aware of his situation, and they tried to control it, and they couldn't. They tried to put stuff on him to bind him, and he broke it off without a problem. He's possessed, and this is the power that he has in him. Verse 5, and always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying out and cutting himself with stones. So everybody heard him, right? But this is what happens. Verse 6, when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and worshiped him. And he cried out with a loud voice, saying, what have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I implore you by God that you do not torment me. Two things I want to point out here. First of all, he worshiped. This is a demon. This is not the man. This is the demons that are in the man worshiping God. The other thing that happened, they prayed to God. It's what it says. It's when praying is a conversation with God. That's all it is. And that's what they're having here. They're praying to him. What have I to do with you, Jesus, the Son of the Most High God? First, they acknowledge who he is, the authority he has. Then, I implore you. Have we ever prayed that way? God, please, I need this healing. God, please, this situation is too much for me. I implore you by God that you do not torment me. Now, this is verse 8. This is tremendous to me that a demon worships God and we got problems worshiping him. A demon prayed to God and we got problems praying. Let me get going. Verse 8. For he said to him, this is what Jesus is telling him, come out of the man, unclean spirit. Then Jesus asked him, what is your name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. So he didn't have one person in him. He didn't have one demonic force in him. He had many. And all of them bowed down to Jesus and prayed to him. All of them. Verse 10. Also, he begged him earnestly that he would not send him out of the country. Verse 11. Now, a large herd of swine was feeding there near the mountain. So that's where the pigs were at. So all the demons begged him again. Every one of them is praying to him. Tremendous. Saying, send us to the swine that we may enter them. And at once Jesus gave them permission. They can't do anything without him saying, okay. See, Satan ain't in charge of nothing. He makes us think he ain't in charge of a thing. Jesus is in charge of everything. And at once Jesus gave them permission. Then the unclean spirit went out and entered the swine. There were about 2,000. 2,000. And the herd ran violently down the steep place into the sea and drowned in the sea. Two things. First, 2,000. That's how many demonic forces was in this one man. The other thing is the pigs would rather be dead than to be possessed by demons. That hit me. Might not hit you. It's hit me all left and right. Okay, verse 14. So those who fed the swine fled, And they told it in the city and in the country, and they went out to see what it was that had happened. So the guys that were taking care of them, I guess the slaves or the servants that were taking care of them, saw what happened and went into the city to tell the people who owned the pigs and the people who knew the man was to come and see what had happened. And they told him what happened. Verse 15, then they came to Jesus and saw the one who had been demon possessed and had the legion sitting clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. They were afraid of the demon man. Now they're afraid of the one who heals them. They see him clothed and in his right mind, and it brings fear upon them. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Verse 16, and those who saw it told them how it happened to him, how he had been demon possessed, and about the swine. Those are the two issues. The swine, the demon-possessed man. Then they began to plead with him to depart their region. They're telling Jesus, you need to go. These are the people who own the swine. Now, I know some people are saying, well, first of all, isn't that wrong that Jesus took some some demons and allowed them to go into the swine, and that's somebody's livelihood? And then he allowed the livelihood to be damaged and killed because now these people don't have a way to make an earning or living. Let me tell you that these people were Jews, and Jews were not supposed to be around pigs at all. These people were farming pigs. They were selling pigs. Let me make the application to today. You may think something you're doing is not a big sin, but I'm telling you, that the things you do that don't honor God, they will come back and bite you. And not necessarily because he has a hand in it. God has set something up, and it's called, whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. So if you sow to the flesh, you're going to reap death. And if you sow to the spirit, you will reap life everlasting. That means salvation. But let me apply it to you here. There are certain things we do in life that we think, God will wink at it. He'll turn his head to it. Sin has a penalty attached to it. And when you do something wrong, it comes. It may not hit you right off the bat. It may not get to you a month, 2 months, 3 months, but it's coming. These men had farmed so much of these pigs that it was 2,000 of them. And they knew they were wrong. That's why they want him to leave. Because their sin has been exposed. And they're like, well, wait, well, you can go. You can go. We're all right here. Because God says, if you say you belong to me, I'm going to expose all your nonsense. Why? To make you feel ashamed and to make you feel stressed out and to make you feel condemned? No. So that you can repent and say, Lord, I'm sorry. Come back to me and help me. And he says, okay. That's why he does it. To constantly keep grabbing for you and telling you there's a better way and showing you what you're doing that you think is good for you. It's not. I'm the best thing for you because I'll take care of you. So they implore him to leave. The demons wanted to leave too, but they didn't want to leave the country because they knew the people around there. They said, I'll find another person to get into because these people are off. And that's what evil lurks. It lurks where there's no protection. Okay, so verse 18, and when he got into the boat, he who had been demon possessed begged him that he might be with him. I want to point one thing out to you before I read the next verse. It's crazy to me that all the people we've met so far in the book of Mark, a lot of them don't have names. This guy's known by the one who was possessed by demons, the demon-possessed man. In chapter 1, I think we had the leper. That was his name, the man that was a leper. In chapter 2, we had the man that was a paralytic. We don't know his name, and we don't know the name of the 4 friends that brought him. He's just a paralyzed guy. And in chapter 3, we had the man with the withered hand. The man with the withered hand. And now we have the demon-possessed man. None of these guys have names, I think for a reason. And again, I'm speculating here. I think it's so we can put ourselves in that spot. Everybody knows us by the condemnation or by the sin they attach to us. That ain't who we are. That's not who we are. That's the exterior of what's binding us, but that's not who the world sees you that way. As you're a drunk, you're an addict, you're a stressed out person, you're a bad dad, you're a bad mom. They don't know your life, but they want to proclaim something on you. Only Jesus can break that nonsense. Because once you get a hold of him and he gets a hold of you, other people's opinion don't matter. The only one that matters is his. Because he's the one. He's the love of your life. He's the one that's going to take care of you. He's the one that will constantly look out for you. Okay. Now I'm going to read the next. Let me read the next verse, which is verse 19. I don't want to get lost. All right. However, Jesus did not permit him. Now the man that was demon possessed is asking him, okay, you freed me. I want to go with you. I want to spend my life with you. I want to serve you. However, Jesus did not permit him, but said to him, go home to your friends and tell them what great things the Lord has done for you and how he has compassion on you. These people ain't had compassion. Your friends ain't have compassion. I have compassion for you. And that's why I'm telling. And it's ironic to me that the demons wanted to go into the pigs, and Jesus said, okay. This man wants to follow him, and he says, no. Don't question what Jesus tells us. Don't question what he does in our life. There's a purpose, and he knows why. And this is why he didn't let that guy go with him. Verse 13. And at once Jesus gave... No, wait a minute. Oh, verse 20. I almost got lost there. Verse 20. And he departed, and the man departed and began to proclaim it in Decapolis, all that Jesus had done for him, and all marveled. Again, I'm going to read them both. However, Jesus did not permit him, but said unto him, go home to your friends and tell them what great things the Lord has done for you and how he has compassion on you. And he departed and began to proclaim it in Decapolis, all that Jesus had done, and all marveled. Decapolis. That's not where he's from. I'm from New York, right? I'm from Brooklyn. New York has 5 boroughs. 5 boroughs. Well, how does that correlate here? Decapolis it's called Decapolis because it means 10 cities. He went to 10 cities in his area, which was Jordan, and proclaimed Christ to those 10 areas. Like I said, I'm from New York. I got 5 boroughs: Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, and which one am I missing? Manhattan. Can't forget Manhattan. Can you imagine Jesus doing something for me and me going to every one of those boroughs and telling them what he did for me and proclaiming it so much that everybody knows it? And that's 5 boroughs. He went to 10 proclaiming God. I mean, that's God's purpose, is for us to tell people who he is by the experiences we have. The Bible says we have 2 weapons, the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. This brother's got a testimony nobody can shake. Ain't nobody going to tell him Jesus didn't do it. Only a Pharisee in those days and a theologian today could try and reason, no, there was something wrong. Jesus maybe had some herb with him and gave it to him. He ate that and everything was fine. No. Jesus took 2,000 demons out of this guy like that without a sweat. Now, chew on that for a minute, because now we're moving on. Okay. Now, I want to tell you something. That's remarkable to me, everything that happened in there. But we're going to someplace else that's going to be even more remarkable. Let me, when I went to college, right, to Boyce Bible College. It was a Bible college. It's a theological school. And I had a professor. His name was Levi, just like the priest. And every now and then when he would teach us a subject, he would come in dressed up as the person. He came in one time dressed up as Satan, because he was teaching us about Satan. He came in one time dressed as a Pharisee. One time he came in dressed as a scribe. He came in one time dressed as a beggar. Sometimes he would do this to print. He would print it in our heads because they didn't use televisions and stuff like that like they do now back then. So he came in and gave us a visual. Why am I telling you that? Because when we went into the book of Mark, he told us about that book of Mark is like a sandwich. Let me explain it to you. The book of Mark, and we've already seen a couple of them. I'll remind you of them, where he puts two stories in one, but he don't put one behind another. He starts a story, and then he implants another story in it, and then continues to tell you the rest of the first story. He does it straight through. In chapter 1, it was the paralytic man and the forgiveness of sin issue with the Pharisees. Right in the middle of the story. He's talking to the man about healing him. He tells him, and then the sin issue comes up and he deals with that, and then he gets back to the man. In chapter 2, it was the withered hand miracle. And then the controversy about the Sabbath day was right in the middle of that, and then he finishes with the man. In chapter 3, it was Jesus' family. And then he interjects Jewish leadership into that, and then he finishes with his family. And now we're getting into another one, verse 5. We're getting into one with, and it's straight throughout Mark. He does it time and time again. He starts a story, something jumps in, and then he finishes the story. Okay, so here we go. And where we at? We are in chapter 5 and verse 21. Let's go. All right, verse 21. Now, when Jesus had crossed over again by boat to the other side again with the boat, and he's leaving, he's going back where he just came from. A great multitude gathered to him, and he was by the sea. All right. Verse 22. And behold, one of the rulers of the synagogue came, Jairus by name. The only person we're going to name here is Jairus, and he's not even sick. He's coming. All right. Jairus by name. And when he saw him, he fell at his feet. 23. And begged him earnestly, saying, my little daughter lies at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her, that she may be healed, and she will live. This is a ruler of the synagogue, the places that have been ridiculing Jesus and questioning his authority and saying that what he's doing by the spirit of the devil. This synagogue leader throws all that garbage out the way, and he says, my daughter's sick. I need you. He comes to him in front of everyone and kneels down and worships him and tells him, please, I know you can do this. A leader of the synagogue. Which one of these seeds reminds you of this man? We'll get that after this, because he is one of the seeds. And like I told you before, every one of the seeds, the wayside, the stony ground, and the thorny, all of those can be saved. Those are just the difficulties they run into. And all of us have been there. We finally make a choice to either accept Christ or reject Christ. This man had to make a choice. He was wealthy. He had prestige. And his reputation was on the line. And he said, my little daughter is at the point of death. None of these things matter to me except her life. And I know who can cure her. That's Jesus. And he runs to him. He pretending he's somebody. No, my title don't mean nothing. You've got money and position. That don't mean nothing either. But people are going to see you worship him. I don't care. I'm at the point now where I know Jesus is the only one who can do what I need. Don't get to that point, guys. Don't let the world break you for you to have to run to him. Don't let that world mangle you up and then come to Christ. Now, you can come. He's not going to reject you, but he don't want you to go through all of that pain to come to him. But he'll grab you when you come, without a doubt, with no shame and no, oh, finally you got here. None of that. No, you're here. All right. You're here. That's Christ. Okay, before I get ahead of myself. All right. He's not the wayside. He's more like he actually a little bit of all of them, because he's got everything in there. He rejects all of that nonsense and says, no, I want Christ. Okay, so like I told you, right? So Jesus went with him. That's verse 23. So he pleads for him, tells him, come and heal my daughter, because I know you can do it. And he says, verse 23, so Jesus went with him, and a great multitude followed him and thronged him. That means they were pressing on him. Verse 25. Now, a certain woman, here's the piece of the sandwich. You see how we're starting with the ruler of the synagogue. Now we're interrupting that story for a woman that comes in. Verse 25. Now, a certain woman, again, no name, she's just a certain woman, had a flow of blood for 12 years and had suffered many things from many physicians. She had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, if only I may touch his clothes, other translations say the hem of his garment, I shall be made well. And immediately, there's that word again, man. Immediately, the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And Jesus immediately, knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, who touched my clothes? But his disciples said to him, you see the multitude thronging you, and you say, who touched me? They have no clue. And he looked around to see her who had done this thing. Verse 33. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. Mercy and compassion. And Jesus, he said unto her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction. Okay, first, 12 years she suffered with this. She spent money on physicians. They didn't get any better. It just got worse. There's things bothering us in our life. Some of it is sickness. Some of it is just family members. Some of it is our job. Some of it is our friends, the people we shouldn't have around us. Some of us, we stress over small things and nothing gets better. We go to doctors. We go to people who are supposed to counsel us better and they don't get better. It just gets worse and you end up broke. This woman had nothing. I don't know if she had family. I don't think so, because they would have been with her there. The other thing I want to point out to you is that she wasn't the first person, because I've always thought, well, why did she think that touching the hem of his garment would get her well? Because in chapter 3 that we read, verse 9, it says that he was healing people and they were coming to touch him so they could be healed. She heard from other people and she saw they were healed, so she knew. Oh, she was like Jairus, the synagogue leader. He knew because he had experienced it. He had been there. He said, this is not something I heard or read. I've seen this. I've seen the people he's touched and changed. I want some of that. I got to get to him because he has the power. So she comes and believes, because other people have done it and gotten healed, that she can be healed, and she does. And Jesus, she's afraid because she knows she's healed and she thinks something bad's going to happen now. And he says, daughter, your faith has made you whole. Go and be freed from your affliction. Compassion. All right, so we're going to move on. I want to tell you that Jesus has it in him. We're going to come to a part where he actually spits on the ground and gets mud to cure a man's blindness. It's in him. Pamper down here, touch. Yeah, touch. That's what you need. You need a touch from God. And he's ready. And let me get to the other part. I don't want to get sidetracked. All right. Verse 35. Okay, so he's done with the woman now. And I'm sure Jairus is over there saying, yo, I understand she's sick. My daughter's about to die. Could you? And he didn't say this. I'm just thinking, if I'm a dad, but let's just read on. Verse 35. While he was still speaking, this is Jesus, some came from the ruler of the synagogue's house who said, your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? I got to stop there. These are people from his house. That's what it says. From the synagogue. They came from the ruler of the synagogue's house. So they were his servants or his family. This is how you approach him? Your daughter's dead, bro. Stop bothering the master. Now you're becoming a problem. Now you're becoming trouble for the man. No, no compassion. No mercy. Your daughter's dead. Really? Those words come from an enemy, not from someone who loves you. And hey, man, listen, I got some bad news. No, your daughter's dead. Yeah, and don't bother him, bro. You're becoming a pest now. Don't bother him. And let me read the next thing. This is 36. I love the number 36, but that's another issue. 36, this is what Jesus says. Because he hears what's happening. God knows what's going on everywhere. In your life, in my life, it could be happening at the same time. And he hears both. And he responds. Because he's dealing with the woman, showing her compassion. And now he hears what they're telling the man. And this is what he tells him. As soon as Jesus heard the words that were spoken, as soon as he heard them, he said to the ruler of the synagogue, don't be afraid. Only believe. This is what he was telling them. And, sometimes people in your life, they don't have no hope, so they want to steal yours. They don't have anything to hang on to, and because they don't know God or they don't want to know about God, they're going to try and take the only hope you got and crush it. Because misery loves company. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting riled up, but let me settle down and take a breath. First, they have no compassion for him. Your daughter's dead. God knows when people tell you things, they try to steal the word he's put in you. People that try to just mangle you up. People that they want you, they think they're helping you, I believe. But they don't, they take the little hope you have. They can't give you any hope, but they're going to take the hope you have and discard it like garbage. This is what I believe Jesus was telling that guy when he said, don't be afraid. Only believe. And I believe this is what he was telling him. Remember what brought you to me. Remember the faith you had at the beginning at your house when you saw your daughter. Remember what you said inside yourself that said, wait, I know somebody who can heal her. I know someone who is God and can listen and will hear me and will move on my behalf. I know who this guy is. I'm going to find him. And no matter what his servants told him, he was faith. You can heal her. Because that's what he told him. Come to my house, put your hands on her. And she'll be made well. She'll live. And they come and try to steal that from him. And Jesus says, don't let them do that. It's me and you. Not you, me and them. It's me and you. And he says, okay. Verse 37. And he permitted no one to follow him. Jesus told the crowd, you guys got to stay here. You're not coming with me. He didn't even take all his disciples with him. He only took 3. James, John, and Peter. Those were his inner circles. Everywhere when he had a secret meeting, those were the 3. So because there's people in your life that they'll get it sooner or later. And he permitted no one to follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. 38. Then he came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue and saw a tumult, people all over the place, and those who wept and wailed loudly. So they were crying up a storm because she was dead. 39. When he came in, he said to them, why make this commotion and weep? The child is not dead, but sleeping. And they ridiculed him. But when he had put them all outside, he took the father and the mother of the child and those who were with him, which was the other 3 disciples, and entered where the child was laying, which I'm sure was in her room, and she was laying on a bed. Then he took the child by the hand and said to her, Talitha Kuma, which is translated, little girl, I say to you, arise. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to read 42. Immediately, that word again, the girl arose and walked, for she was 12 years of age, and they were overcome with great amazement. Not fear. They were overcome with great amazement. Two things, or a couple of things here, I just got to point out to you. First of all, Jesus goes in the room. And I'm believing this. I think he sat down next to her on the bed. And the scripture says he took her hand. And he says to her, little girl, I say unto you, arise. Now, this could be translated because this wasn't like the words that he's using in the Greek are intimate words. If I could paraphrase it for him, it'd be, honey, get up. He put his hands in her hand. When I walk with my grandchildren, I put my hand in their hand, and wherever I go, when they're with me, I make sure that my hand is locked into their hand because I don't want them to be lost. I want them to feel security when they're with me. I want them to know that Papi's here, that Papi's here. And as long as he's here, I'm safe. He grabbed her by the hand and said, honey, get up. Now, I don't know if I want to get into the issue of dead and sleep because it seems like he's contradicting himself, but he's not, because it's a different kind of sleep for us. He did the same thing when Lazarus was dead. They said he was dead. He was dead. He said, but he sleeps. And his disciples thought, oh, he's asleep. He's okay. And they said, no, he's dead. It's a different kind for us. See, death for a non-believer, or at this point, is a death where you're leaving to be with God and you ain't coming back unless you're a Christian. So the death here is the one where they haven't transported to God yet. They're dead, but their spirit hasn't gone to him yet. So he's able to put it back. Now, I know some people are going to have problems with that. Text me. I'll clear it up for you. But let me get back to the story. 12 years, she was 12 years old. The woman that had the issue of blood, she was sick for 12 years. I don't know how old she was, but I know one thing. We're talking about two different age groups here. We're talking about a woman who lived her life. A woman who, for the last 12 years of her life, whatever money she had accumulated, whatever position she had, everything was taken from her slowly, until finally she had no money and she grew worse. And she had to get to God then because she had nothing else. Don't be that person. You can be, because he'll accept you. Don't be that person. And then we have on the other side a girl who's just starting to live. Her life is in front of her. And it's taken by a disease. It doesn't say what she had, but she was at the point of death. And the only person who could point her in the right direction was her dad. He's the only one that could come to God and say, God, I need you to step in. Why? Because I'm going to tell you one thing. If we could research who this little girl became, I'm telling you, she had to be somebody proclaiming Christ forever, her and her family. Because every time her dad looked at her, he saw the power of God. God loves us, and he's in our situations. He's not glossing over it. He's not like a bird flying past. He's in the mix with us. He took time with that woman with the issue of blood in the middle of trying to go save this 12-year-old girl because he ain't stressing about anything. Why? He's in control. Death ain't got nothing on him. Nothing. He said, if she dies, okay. It's not a problem for me. I'm going to show you guys something. In the stories, you have both of them there. And this is why Mark makes the sandwich. Because he wants to punch the point home so severely that you don't miss it. 12 years old. The woman needed to touch Christ. And Christ needed to touch the girl. He put his hand in her hand. And that thing, when I read that all I could think of is my grandkids and how when I put my hand in their hand, they know they're safe. And when we separate hands, I got to be looking to see where she's at. Don't let people from your home, outside your home, in the church, outside, don't let them damage the relationship you have with Christ. Keep your hand in that hand. Once you get saved, it's not on you to hold on to God. That's what I love about him. That once I got saved, I don't have to work to keep my hand in his hand. I don't have to do good things. I'm compelled to do them because I love him and I don't want to dishonor him. But I don't do them out of obligation. I do it out of love. That I don't want to disappoint him. Everything he's done for me, what he will do with my grandchildren, I know he will. I got to give them an example that's worthy of the one I'm following. Let me read the last verse. But he commended them. Okay, let me read back to 42. Immediately the girl arose and walked, for she was 12 years old. She was 12 years of age. And they were overcome with great amazement. Verse 43. But he commanded them strictly that no one should know it, and said that something should be given to her to eat. I'm telling you, that story, that testimony in that household rocked that neighborhood. It rocked the workplace when that guy went back to the synagogue. He wasn't the same anymore. He wasn't following those people that were talking trash about Christ no more. No, he wasn't. Okay. Now, the last verse I'm going to read. Okay. And here it is. It's John 10, 28 through 30. And this is God talking. He says, I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall anyone snatch them out of my hands. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hands. I and my Father are one. That's why he grabbed her hand. To tell you, I got you. And now that I got you, it's on me to hold on to you and keep you, not on you. You serve me because you love me. I hold on to you because I love you. And that's the point. That's the whole point. That's it, guys. That's chapter 5. Next chapter we're getting into is 6, and there's a lot of things happening in there. We're going to find out about John the Baptist and how he died. We're going to find out a lot of things about people in there that fit the narrative of the sower, the seed, and the soil. And just like this man did, the synagogue leader, Jairus. He took all those things. He had power, he had prestige. None of those things were important to him. He said, I don't care. It's my child. And I'm telling you, that changed his life, because that's what Christ is about. He's about changing your life. Not about changing your circumstances, although that will happen. He wants to change you so that you can make a difference where you are. That lady with the issue of blood, she's not going in the synagogue to change anything. Jairus is, because that's where he works at. But where the woman with the issue of blood is going, Jairus can't go, because that ain't his area. The demon-possessed guy, he's preaching to 10 cities, telling them about Christ. Everybody has a place to witness for Christ, and your area is where you are. Don't look for a place inside the church, because the church is locked up, ain't it, the building? So how we going to go be somebody there? No, get off the nonsense. Where you are, that's your battleground. That's your mission field. Get to work, guys. We just read a chapter that is full of pain and triumph. Remember the triumph. Because no matter what you're going through, Jesus can handle it. So I want to thank my daughter for the necklace. And I want to thank my daughter. That's Sabrina who got me the necklace. I want to thank her for that. And I want to thank Pamela, because she's the one that told me, Dad, why don't you just go on Facebook Live? It'll be a little bit better than the audio. So my children are always looking out for me, because I'm getting old and they know they need to you know, bringing the troops, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I love you guys. I will see you next week. And remember, stay strong, stay focused, stay encouraged, and stay safe. God bless.